Hello students, I am Vinita. We had already completed line by line explanation of the portrait of a lady. Today we'll cover other details related to this chapter. First, let's talk about Khushwant Singh. He is one of the most celebrated authors of India. Apart from being a writer, he has been a lawyer, a public relations officer, and the editor of the Illustrated Weekly of India. Two of his most famous novels are Train to Pakistan and I Shall Not Hear the Nightingale, which were published in 1956 and 1961. His non-fiction includes the classic two-volume A History of the Sikhs, a number of translation and works on Sikh religion and culture, Delhi, nature, current affairs and Urdu poetry. In 2007, he was awarded the Padma Vibhushan. Among the other awards he has received are the Punjab Ratna, the Sulabh International Award for the Most Honest Indian of the Year, and honorary doctorates from several universities. He passed away in 2014 at the age of 99. This is the portrait of Khushwant Singh. In this story, the author draws a pen portrait of his grandmother. He beautifully unfolds his relationship with her while describing her appearance and daily activities. Khushwant Singh recalls his grandmother as short, fat, and slightly bent. Her silver hair was scattered untidily on her wrinkled face. She hobbled around the house in white clothes, with one hand resting on her waist and the other telling the beads of a rosary. Rosary, I told you earlier also, it is a string of beads for keeping count of number of chants made of a religious prayer. So she used to count the beads of the rosary for counting the number of prayers she had done. He explains her appearance, which helps create an image in the reader's mind. The description which is given about the grandmother, makes a picture in the reader's mind. She is seen as a very religious and down-to-earth lady who believes in values. The author traces his relationship with her in the story. The portrait of a lady is written in first person and is in the biographical mode. There are few values highlighted in the chapter. We'll take one by one. First one is love and protect the elderly. The narrator portrays the life of a grandmother who was trying to bring up her grandson in a country where the majority of the people were fighting to make it free from the British. It was a British rule at that time. They were still the rulers, and as a result, whatever they had brought with them, be it English education or English fashion, it was not welcomed by the Indians. Khushwant Singh's grandmother also looked upon these subjects with distrust. Although she did not force her views on her family, she became a recluse. She lived in her own world, spinning the wheel the whole day, praying and feeding the sparrows. The writer says that if the old people are not able to understand or accept the changes which take place in society regarding education, thinking, lifestyle, and they feel isolated, this gives way to a generation gap, which can be bridged to some extent by proper understanding by the old as well as the young generation. Second value is giving company to the elderly. This is very important. The aged people feel the need for physical, moral, financial, and emotional support from their children. When they are left alone, a gap appears between them and their children. The temporary separation, which may be the outcome of circumstances, is good as it enhances love and respect, as it was in the case of the grandmother and the grandson. When he left her, at that time the bonding grew more stronger. The elderly live in their own world and it is difficult to change their lifestyle. They want nothing from the new generation except love and respect. The new generation can enrich itself by listening to the experiences of the elderly, and they in turn can learn a lot about modern gadgets and the things from the young. This will help in bridging the generation gap and give way to a healthy and happy society. Third value, which is highlighted in the story, is compassion for birds and animals. The narrator's grandmother is very religious and pious lady. She was very kind not only to humans but also to birds and animals. Animals respond sadly or happily as humans do to sad and happy situations. This fact was well highlighted in the story. In the story, the grandmother not only feeds the stray dogs in the village but also feeds the sparrows. And the bonding between her and the sparrows could be seen at the end of the story also. There are few important expressions in the lesson. The first one is the thought was almost revolting. This expression means like it was very hard for the author to believe that once his grandmother was young and pretty. She had been same for the last 20 years and the author had seen her. So he assumed she had been the same all her life. He could not accept the thought that she was once young, married, and pretty because he had always seen her with the wrinkles on her face. Second expression is an expanse of pure white serenity. The author has used this to describe the whiteness associated with his grandmother. She always wore spotless white dress. Her silver hair quite matched with her white attire. She was very spiritual and religious. As a result, she exuded purity and serenity like a winter landscape. Comparison is there, simile has been used. So the author has used the simile to describe her old age, white color associated with her, and the tranquility she spread all around with her presence. Third expression which is used is a turning point. This turning point was the turning point in the friendship of grandmother and the narrator when they moved to the city. He was being taught music in his school, which the grandmother did not like. She was now left in seclusion and with nothing to do. As the time passed, the author and his grandmother began to get far from each other. So that is why it was the turning point in her life. Accepted her seclusion with resignation. This phrase means that the grandmother took her loneliness calmly and accepted her fate without being sentimental at all. This phrase shows the author's grandmother's passive submission to her secluded life. She accepted readily, without getting sentimental, without getting emotional, that she had to live alone and get herself busy somewhere else. Another expression is veritable bedlam of chirrupings. It refers to the noise, confusion, and chaos caused by the chirruping of these sparrows that scattered and perched around the author's grandmother. So it is about the sparrows. Frivolous rebukes. This expression is used in the text. The expression means that the author's grandmother criticized or checked on the sparrows in vain. Her sharp reprimands were of little importance to the sparrows as the latter couldn't understand human language. So she did not she did not shoot them. Why? Because she knew that they are not going to understand the human language. So that is why uh, she readily accepted the behavior of the sparrows. The last expression is the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum. It refers to the poor and worn out condition of the drum being played by the grandmother. Simply the drum which she was playing or beating, that was very rugged, and it was worn out. So that is what it is she is talking about. Now, there are three phases of the author's relationship with his grandmother before he went to abroad. The first phase was the period of the author's early childhood. During this phase, he used to live with his grandmother in the village. The grandmother used to take care of him from waking up and getting him ready to accompany him to the school. Both shared a, you can say, good friendship with each other, and their bond was inseparable and strong. So that was the first phase. The second phase was the time when the author and the grandmother moved to the city to live with the author's parents. This was a turning point in their friendship because now they saw less of each other. Now he went to a school, to his school by bus, and the subjects which he used to study, his grandmother did not know anything about them, and she did not like the subjects also. The third phase was the time of the author when he joined university. He was given a separate room, and the common link of their friendship was snapped. The grandmother turns two wheels spinning and reciting prayers all day long. Whole day she used to do spinning, wheel spinning, and also pray with her rosary in her hand. She accepts seclusion with silence. Let's see the three reasons why the author's grandmother was disturbed with the city education. What were these three reasons? She was unhappy to know about the concepts he was taught at school. She didn't understand English words. So that is why she didn't like it, and it was British time, and she did not like the Britishers also. So that was also the reason behind it, that she didn't like the way her grandson was taught in the school. She was distressed that there was no teaching about God and scriptures. In the village, she had always given education of God and prayers and scriptures to her grandson. But now it was not possible as there was no teaching about God and scriptures in the school. So she was disappointed. She was also very disturbed that he was given music lessons because she did not find it correct, and she thought that she considered it fit only for harlots and beggars. Good people did not learn music lessons, in her opinion. So that's all which is important in this lesson. Thank you.